Hey, what's going on, everybody? So I thought I would do a follow-up to my 2018 GT Zaskar Carbon Pro bike. As you can see here, recently I'd taken this to an XC race and took third place, so I'm pretty excited. I was doing this XC mountain bike series, and I just kept getting knocked off of, the top three by, a few minutes. So it kept driving me nuts, but the final race, I said I'm pulling out all the stops, so I'm going to try to go for it, and swapped out the previous wheels that were on here, which were some WTB I-23s, and I just put on these FSA Gradients, which my friend Steve had sold to me for like $600, included the Vittoria Mezcal tires, which are actually my go-to tire. And funny enough, it's because he ended up selling his bike, which had this wheel set, and decided to go a different route. But I thought, hell, I'm gonna take advantage, and because the wheel spec works on my bike. This is basically a these are FSA Gradient wheels. These are carbon wheels. They run a 110 or a 15 by 110 hub up front, and then it's a 148 boost through axle in the back. That's a spacing. And let's go over the bike kind of front to back. The Vittorias here are the Vittoria Mezcals with the graphene. These are the 29 by 2.35. If you've seen any of my bike check videos, you know that I normally run 29 by 2.25. But this tire width I actually kind of like. I think between the two sizes, I probably stick with I think either one is fine. Here you can tell on the clearance for the GT Zaskar Carbon Pros, and this goes from the 2018s all the way to the present right now, which is like the year 2022. I think if you went with a slightly wider tire, you'd be hard pressed. I think 2.35 is as safely as wide as you can go, because you gotta, consider there's gonna be sometimes wheel flex, and which can rub against your frame, and you definitely don't want that, whether it's carbon or any other material, just because it will slow you down. And I have tried wider tires on other bikes where your clearance gets even narrower than this, and when you're putting the power down, you can feel the wheel flex and whatever, or you'll hit certain bumps and you'll get flex and just rubs against your frame. So that's, I think, 2.35 for the particular GT Zaskar Carbon models 2018 on up are going to be, I think 2.35 is as good as you can get. Let's see. And then also brake wise, I'm running the bigger MT5s. I think at some point I'll upgrade to the Magura MT7s, though, especially if I can get them in the Raceline colors, the Raceline yellow, just to go with the frame. But I should have done it when I had a chance, but did not. But the MT5s are really good brakes for what they are, and the MT7s do cost a lot more, but they're still pretty cool. Let me go over the Magura MT5 brakes on here. So these are 4-piston brakes. Rotor wise, I'm running the Magura HC or Storm rotors here. These are the Magura Storm HCs. Same with the back. This is a 180 up front with a 160 rear. Here, kind of the cool part with the Magura MT5 brakes is you can actually use Magura MT7 pads. These are Magura MT7 style pads, and the reason I call them Magura MT style pads is these are not Magura MT7 pads. These are some Amazon knockoffs for $10 that I just wanted to test out to see if they're really good, or comparable. They're not the worst pads, but they're very good. They're just really noisy when it's super dry conditions. You will hear it, and it's like nails on a chalkboard. It's horrible. And same goes for the back. What I will say though is the cool part is with the Magura MT5 stock pads, it's just 2 pieces. So you'll get one solid piece that goes across, and you load it from upside down. And then these calipers are magnetic, so you don't need the spring, that metal spring in there. You just put them in, line them up, and then you can put, with the MT5 pads, you don't need the retainer pins. On the MT7s, and MT5s, if you're running individual pads per piston, like on here, you will need the retaining pins. And if you're going to order pads for anything, doesn't matter if it's Magoo or whatever, make sure if you're going from Magoo MT5s to MT7 style pads, that they come with retaining pins. Like Trucker Co, they don't come with retaining pins on some of their pads. So, and I think on certain other brands too, they just sell you the pads and not the retaining pins, and I think it's just to keep the cost a little bit cheaper. But if you can't, just make sure that you get the retaining pins on here if you don't have them, because the magnets alone will not hold these pads, FYI. Anyway, for the fork here, this is a excuse me, yeah, this is the RockShox RL or SID RL fork on here. This is 100 millimeter solo air spring fork, and then let's see, hop on the other side here, and as you can tell, it's a 51 millimeter offset. It's for boost, basically 15 by 110, and it can accommodate a 275 plus or 29er wheel. These are 29er wheels, of course. Has remote lockout. As you can see here, it works pretty well. It's got to go in for rebuild again over at GHY. Will do the rebuild, which is kind of cool. Here I'm running the FSA afterburner stem. It's this plus or minus 6 degrees at 60 millimeters on a 31.8 clamp diameter stem. Here, this is an Uzi or Spank Uzi handlebar in this real cool blue color. It originally came as a 780 wide. Because I'm right, I was sometimes, depending on what kind of race it is, if it's a long kind of gravel or kind of blue line cross country race, what I'll actually do is I'll put bar ends on here, and I don't like to have bar ends on a flat bar bike where it's too wide. So normally I run 720, but I cut this down to 700 so I get through bar ends and feel pretty comfortable. I hate I tried 720, but I felt like I was a little too hunched over for my liking, so I narrowed it out and threw on bar ends to test it, and it's perfect for me anyway. So I find this pretty comfortable. I might narrow down my other bars too, but I do enjoy this. Generally, I don't feel there's too much of a compromise, so that's why I've gone with 700. Plus I'm shaving that, no, 2 grams. No, anyway. Here I'm running the RaceFace half Nelson grips still. You can get these for about roughly 20-25 bucks at an online retailer, or even at your local bike shop, I would imagine. Like even REI sells them, and I like these. These are really tacky, really awesome grips. Wet, dry, doesn't matter. They still feel and perform the same. Gloves, or even barehanded, they're comfortable barehanded too, so if you forget your gloves, they're not going to eat at your hand. That's what I like about these, and they're pretty thin, and that's how I like my grips. Here, these are custom caps, bar end plugs in like the and they offer 2 sizes. One's mountain bike, one's road, and I think I had ordered these as I want to say a road, because the road ones are a little bit wider to accommodate for the grip tape. And had I had to do this again, I think I would have gotten the mountain bike ones, because they're slightly smaller, and then they would be flush with my grips. But it is what it is. It doesn't look too bad. You can get these custom caps ones even with your own messages and stuff, and Custom Caps is doing color now. They used to do just like, I don't know, white lettering. It wasn't, they didn't go too much, but now they're doing full-on color, I noticed. And they also do custom top caps too. And I had, the price is ballparks. If you can get something off the shelf for like 17 bucks, and then if you want something custom, it goes up to like 30. So there's that. Here I recently switched out my KS dropper lever and trigger system, or dropper lever and dropper post system. I originally had the KS E10 Integra, and I wanted to go with I wanted to swap that out and try out a suspension dropper post. So this is a PNW Coast dropper. It's got 110 millimeters of height adjustment and 40 millimeters of travel. This is actually a 30.9 millimeter seat post. but it is shimmed. Cane Creek makes an inexpensive shim you can get for like, you know, $5, and that way it can fit into a 31.6 millimeter seat tube. The reason I've done that is because if you notice a lot of my bike checks, if any of you watch my bike check videos, you'll notice that a lot of parts that I have on many of my bikes are kind of the same, whether it's Magura brakes or whether it's now dropper posts or even triggers, saddles, things like, or even tires. You'll notice that I try to I standardize my parts, just because a lot of the bikes I own, if let's say I'm racing this bike, a part fails, I can pull it off another bike and still have my bike race ready, usually in most cases. So that's nice. Like, and that includes if I rip a tire, whatever it is. And also if I'm buying in bulk, I can usually get a discount for doing that, so it's sort of cost effective for me in many ways. And also I know the parts by heart, you know, I can actually, I know what the internals are, and you know, if I need to rebuild them, I know what parts to do, and I can stock up for a lot of things. So it's almost like fleet management, and that's how I do my stuff when you have a big bike collection. Makes it easier for me. But this is cool, this suspension dropper, check it out. Like, you can fill this up to 300 psi max. I think that's, even for a rider that's 210 pounds, it's pretty rigid that way. I'm running this like at 200, and it's pretty decent. It's really it's real nice. This is an internal routed one, and I actually bought this used. P&W has a cycled program, which is all the refurbed or return dropper posts that they can't sell brand new, and you can get these for like $50 to $75 less than, or even, yeah, $50 to $75 less than what they retail for brand new, and they still come with a warranty. And P&W's warranty system or program and customer service is just phenomenal. Have had just a fantastic experience with them, and that's why I've been slowly phasing out other brand droppers for the P&W stuff. A lot of bike shops, if I need the parts, whatever it is, like, they can work on them. I'm in a pinch if I needed to do that, or you know, there's like a lot of shops do carry P&W stuff, so it's just really nice. Here's an SQ Lab saddle. This is a 611 on the chromoly rails here. I'm kind of sad. Not P&W, but SQ Labs and SKS North America, they don't, it's hard to find these saddles, and I really love these saddles. I have to find a way to find a 150 wide SQ Lab saddle, because they're harder to find in the United States, which is where I reside. And this is like, I think, a German brand company. So somehow the partnership didn't work out, and now I can't find these saddles. They're all sold out. I tried looking on Jensen, and they don't have them my size, so just really sad. This is the 150 millimeter wide saddle, and just really comfortable. And over time, as you use it, it conforms to your sit bones, and I just, like, you can, it is the best saddle I've ever had, and I don't want to go with any other brand. That's the thing. Like, other people are like, oh, you should try Oregon and whatever. Maybe I'll give it a chance once my other saddles wear, but if I can find these and they ship to the United States, then I think I'll still try to stick with the SQ Lab stuff, because just hands down best saddle. And they're light. You pick it up and it's kind of lighter than, it feels as light as a bottle cage. Like, it's just stupid light even with chromoly rails. So there's that. Now let's go to drivetrain. Drivetrain this is a Sram X01 drivetrain. It's a 1x12 setup. Here's this 32 tooth chainring up front. Here's the Sram X01, the original stock Sram X01. The cassette's been replaced, but this is a Sram X01 rear cassette as well. It's the max in the back. It's about a 50 tooth rear, and it's actually pretty good. Like, it's a really nice, super light because I just ordered, I think I ordered a GX cassette, and picking them up side by side, the XO and the GX cassettes, they're noticeably, well, the GX is noticeably heavier. I think when I looked at the spec, it's about 100 grams more, but it was noticeable. I think the reason what makes these light are, if you can look, there's real no, like, if you think about the old Shimano cassettes and stuff like that, or even current ones, you don't see really any pins in here at all, and it's like a one piece. It looks like, just comes across as like a one piece construction cassette. Like it's really put together and it's solid. And you know, this cassette has lasted for quite a while. I've moved it around from different bikes or wheel sets, and still pretty good. And of course this runs a Sram Eagle chain, 1x12 chains, so and it's still holding up. I've had, like, I think 2 race seasons on it so far, and it's due for a replacement at the end of this year, so I'll be, or earlier, so I'll be doing that. This frame, this is the size medium frame, and I'm like roughly just slightly north, like between 5'6", 5'7", depending on what clinic I go to for a checkup. And my leg inseam, that seems to be the most consistent. So it's like I have a 32-inch leg inseam, and this bike fits real well. I have ridden a small Zaskar before. Somebody else has a size small Zaskar, and it feels a little bit more stout, but this feels at home for my height and for my reach and leg inseam. This is just a fantastic fit, especially if, I mean, it feels perfect. I think another hardtail I may eventually have in addition to this bike is a Cannondale Scalpel HT. I haven't decided if I'm going to get a Scalpel full suspension or the hardtail. I've heard a lot of amazing things about the Cannondale HT, so maybe I'll go that route. But it depends. We'll see. It's all within the, you know, Pond's wheelhouse. They're, you know, GT and Cannondale cousin brands anyway. But oh yeah, I should have said that the crank arm length here is the 175. It's a 175 millimeter crank arm length. So but yeah, overall this is a great bike. I'll have to do an updated ride review, how the bike handles. It's just been, I've had to do multiple takes. It's been showering on and off, like for the past, as you can tell, like my bike's wet because I tried doing videos here in the wet, or when it rained, but then it just dumped on me, so I gave up. But now I think the clouds are coming back in. But anyway, it's a great bike. It is my favorite hardtail of all time. I think I wish GT sold this bike in the United States, so I didn't have to work so hard trying to source another one of these frames. Because really, if I can get access to another one of these GT Zaskar Carbon bikes, it doesn't even have to be the Pro. It just, the 2018 to 2022 GT Carbon or Zaskar Carbon bikes, I imagine the geometry and everything's all the same from what I've seen. I mean, just a fantastic bike, and I would love to try a Cannondale Scalpel HT to see how the two bikes compare, but I mean, nothing beats how good this bike is in terms of performance, climbing. Like even with this wheel set, it's just a phenomenal super bike. Doing trial stuff. Oh, I should note, on here I still run tubes. And Mr. Tuffy liner, and the reason is, like, one of my friends has tubeless, and I just wanted to see if I can burp his tires doing trial stuff, and I did. So it's the biggest reason why I do tubes in a lot of my bikes. The other one is just because I have so many, I'd have to refresh and have to I'd have to refill everything, like all the dozens of bikes that I have. So I was like, screw it. Tubes I can set and forget. If I get a flat, whatever, just replace the tube, and it's kind of about it. Not that big of a deal, but having I can get away with a lot of negligence on tubes versus tubeless, so that's why. And I can be a little more aggressive on trial stuff. I know Danny McCaskill has like a tubeless setup, but I don't have a Continental sponsor. I don't even have a tire sponsor, period. So you know, I'm just running the setup and it works. A lot of people are like, oh, it's how you set up your rims, or it's like, no, it's because you don't do trial stuff and I do. And if you knew that, you would know that tubeless doesn't always work. One of my gripes, I don't like it when people tell me, like, when they don't have any experience doing any of the stuff that I'm doing, and they're like, oh no, it works, and no, it doesn't. So oh yeah, and I RaceFace Chester pedals. But anyway, I think what I'm gonna do with all my bike checks is, don't mind my voice, I'm a little bit under the weather, hence I didn't go to work today, because last thing any cancer center wants is for you to show up sick and then you endanger everybody. So that's why I'm banging out a video today. But race wise, it's a fantastic bike. If anybody's looking at a Zaskar Carbon bike, I would totally get one. You know, the press fit, I have a Chris King press fit bottom bracket, and you know, it's kind of the it has its own issues of itself, but I think for the most part, how do I put it? I don't want to totally crap on this bike. It's the perfect bike. If it had thread, it'd be the ultimate bike. You know, but I still love this bike for what it is. It's just that if you ride it a little too hard over time, then you have to press these, re-grease, press them back in. So that's kind of my gripe with press fit bottom brackets. And again, when you're doing trial stuff and you're doing free riding stuff or whatever it is, you will run into those, you might run into situations. I haven't tried a Wheels manufacturing one, but I don't blame Chris King for exiting the press fit bottom bracket market either. So that said, with a lot of my bike check videos, I think I'm gonna update and refresh, because I've changed out a lot of parts, is I'll add on a ride review, and then the other in the comments description for all my bike checks going forward is I'll put in a part spec, because enough of you have commented on that, so I'll do that. And then of course you're welcome to ask me any questions, you know, like about the bike or any issues that I've had. I'll always be honest. Like, even though like I'm fortunate to have some kind of sponsorship in some way, I'll always be honest. You know, and whether or not they, you know, any person wants to hear that, or any sponsor company wants to hear that, you know, at least in that sense, you know, I can be straight with you. So I have nothing to lose in that way, except, you know, maybe a sponsorship. It's not that big of a deal. But anyway, that is it. Thanks for watching. I'll do a on ride review when I'm not having to ride through mud all the time on this bike, because it is fantastic. All right, talk to you later. Bye.